All right, so let's get this out of the way. I lost a bet, so I had to watch Batwoman episode 1. And while I was pretty clear about not supporting something I don't like, after playing Ghostbusters all week and being unable to sleep, well, it gave me something else to watch. Though looking back, let's not make a habit of this, Kay. And yes, this is podcast style, and it will have spoilers. So if you don't want to know what happens, well, don't watch or listen to this, because I'm about to tell you the whole shebang. Also, before we begin, I just want you all to know that you've been lied to big time by the CW. This is not the super woke hot garbage that you were promised. That will make drama channels even a more bigger nuisance on YouTube. Nope, it's just a boring, bland CW drama with a lesbian as the lead character. That's it. The plot is still a train wreck, but that's due to poor writing, acting, action scenes, fight choreography, bat bashing, and the fact it chose to adapt Batwoman stories instead of Batman ones like Arrow did in its first season, which probably would have given the show a second season, but I digress. You're listening to Nightcast, the audio podcast where we talk about all things Batman, and today is Batwoman. All right, here we go. The pilot begins by literally ripping off Batman Begins. No, really, Kate is off training to do something they don't really say till later on in the episode, so you have to keep listening. But she's in Greenland, or Iceland, and has been away from Gotham for about 3 years, unaware that Batman is also missing. Her training is kind of weak compared to most costumed spandex fighters we've seen, like Arrow and some other stuff in the CW-verse. She literally has leg cuffs on and dives into freezing water. Okay, and the girl didn't even have weights on the cuffs. Nothing. How is this considered training? Well, I mean, she is in the Arctic, or Iceland, or Greenland, somewhere where it's cold. Things don't get really dicey for Kate until the sensei pushes a box over the ice hole. And here we actually get a classic Batman flashback of how he killed her mom and her sister. Accidentally, of course. Apparently, the tensile strength of the bat line wasn't enough to keep a minivan from falling off a bridge. Okay. I'm pretty sure that Batman would have calculated how that all worked out, but whatever, let's just go with it. So, safe to say, the narrative here is don't trust a man to save you, save yourself. No, really, this is kind of important for the pilot later on. Also, I'm kind of annoyed that they changed her tragic origin dramatically for this. Maybe because it had to do with firearms and terrorists, who knows. But considering her and her sister and her mom were captured by bad guys and then gunned down is kind of, very Batman-like, minus, the way it happened. Hence why her dad in the comics becomes this super overprotective, insane military guy. But yeah, no, we can kind of wipe that stuff off and just literally have them fall off a bridge because the bat line broke. That happened. So, back in the present with Kate in the freezing water or whatever, she breaks free from the ice using her cuffs as kind of like a, what do they call that thing? Bronze knuckle, I believe. Yeah. Her sensei then yells at her that, hey, you need to do things faster because that was just lame. Not gonna lie, I like her teacher more than Kate in this episode. He's funny and he's hardly used, and I want to see more of the sensei. Make it happen, Batwoman. Anyway, Kate talks about Gotham being a broken city because Batman is missing or dead, but she thinks he's abandoned Gotham, just like he abandoned her family to die. No resentment there whatsoever, right? Okay. So Gotham now, in the present, has a private security force called the Crow. Yeah, this is probably going to lead into a Court of Owls thing. You know it's going to. Well, if the show lasts that long, Crow is operated by Kate's father, the commander of the operation. Most of the tech they have looks kind of like it was lifted from Wayne Enterprises, which explains why later in the show, Kate can use all of Batman's gadgets and gears with no training whatsoever. Because, reasons. So anyway, tonight at this big gala that everybody arrived inside of armored trucks because Gotham is bad-er now. Anyway, tonight is supposed to be the last night that the bat signal will light up the night sky, and Gotham citizens had been given hope of him returning, but as soon as the lights go off, well, that's when bad things get worse. Oh, that sounds stupid, but we're just going to go with it. So who else is going to protect everybody and their fancy rooftop parties for the 1%? No idea, but it's certainly not the Crows, because something goes horribly, horribly wrong, people die, and, who didn't see that coming? Sophie, who's a member of this private security force in Gotham called Crow, who's also a part-time ninja cop, tries to stop the masked assailants, but is then kidnapped. Meanwhile, back in Greenland, or Iceland, or wherever there's lots of snow, I don't know, there's ice everywhere. What do you want from me? Kate's stepsister calls and tells her that Sophie is missing. Kate then returns to Gotham. And yes, my narrative will be more exciting than the show. You're welcome. After some pointless monologue of what Kate's been up to, she speaks with her dad, who's giving his crows a pep talk about how to deal with gangs in Gotham. Oh, yeah, that happened. So the commander is not a fan of Bruce Wayne, and this actually triggers Kate because she says Bruce is a better dad than he was. Oh, snap. Apparently, Bruce Wayne was actually there for Kate after her mother and sister were killed. Gee, Bruce doesn't have a habit of helping out orphans at all, although technically Kate had a dad, but maybe he wasn't being very dad-like to her. Or maybe Bruce planned on making Kate Batgirl. If you didn't know this, there's a huge age difference between Bruce Wayne and Kate. Kate, when her parent died, she was probably about like 8 to maybe 12 years old, and Bruce was Batman at the time, so by the time Batman goes missing, he may be in his late 40s, early 50s, so he's much, much older, hence why she calls him like a super cool dad, or really cool older brother or uncle, but that's besides the point. The conversation between Kate and her dad, she gets very defensive over Bruce, yet she still hates Batman. That whole duality thing is going to come into play later, so pay attention to that. Long story short, Kate wants to join the Crows. Dad says, I guess. Now we get, of course, Kate and Sophie's military flashback, because this is Batwoman's origin, how they were kicked out for macking out and somewhere, I don't know, on a military base. Sophie saved her own skin, and Kate got kicked out of the academy. After the flashback, she basically has this odd, constipated, thinking look on her face. Yeah, get used to that, because it's going to happen probably a lot. Why? Because literally every CW hero has a weird facial expression for their overacting. Is that a thing? Do they really have to do that? Barry has this weird head-bobbing thing, like he's a bobblehead, and Arrow is basically the poster child for teenage angst and emo-ness, but as a grown man who wears spandex and jumps off rooftops. This show desperately needed Nightwing, but he's on the DC app, and Titans is a much better show. You should watch that, especially season 2. They have Deathstroke, and he's amazing. But more on that another time. Anyway, what's dumb about the whole origin scene is it doesn't really make sense. I mean, the don't ask, don't tell thing has been repealed for like a decade or so. So it's a big crutch in the Batwoman comics. That's because Kate is very old in said comics, so it makes sense that she would have been around during that time. Here, not so much. But origin is origined. Moving on. That sounded funnier at 4 a.m., but actually a lot of things sound really funny this time of night. Okay, I have no idea where I'm going with this. So Kate drives on her cool motorbike to Wayne Enterprises, now abandoned, to get answers, since her dad won't help her because, well, he's a jerk. And yes, I'm making this pilot sound way better than it is. It's a snorefest. Kate uses her spider powers and climbs up Wayne Tower, and I'm being 100% serious. She then breaks into the building and meets Luke Fox, head of security for an abandoned building. Basically, Kate gets what she needs, and she acts like a total jerk to Luke, which isn't mean at all. Then she returns home and is given a surprise party by her cool stepmom and sister. Another flashback of being kicked out of the military happens when she sees a picture of her and Sophie, who Sophie dumped her so she could stay in the military. Ouch. No worries. This is pretty much just the same as the comic books where Batwoman beats a dead horse with this scene over and over again. Woe is me for being kicked out of the military for being gay. I'm serious. That's her thing. So the commander shows up, and Kate basically is a super hacker, shows them the surveillance footage, and then makes all the guys in the room look dumb because feminism. Crow and Kate go to the Burnside orphanage, and here we have one of the worst action scenes in the entire episode, along with the fight choreography. Now, I'm trying to be nice to Ruby Rose because I understand she had a near-death accident while performing these stunts, but these stunts work well for Stephen Amell because the man is jacked and has abs that could, like, wrap around, I don't know, muscles. So it makes sense when he's shown in his action scenes. Here, it is very hard to believe that Ruby Rose can take out an entire army of dudes in rabbit masks. It doesn't work. The only way that the master martial artist Kate is able to be defeated is because she gets attacked from behind. Oh no, it's not my blind spot. And you're going to become a costume vigilante? Yeah. Okay. Kate then meets Alice, who tells her that Sophie is more important to the commander than Kate is. She is more of a daughter to him than you. Sick burn, Alice. Ouch. Cue the constipated face thing for Ruby Rose again. After getting patched up by her sister, who's basically going to be both the Alfred of the show and, of course, Leslie Tompkins, she runs back to Crow to yell at her dad, and then heads to Wayne Tower again and discovers the Batcave, which is actually a surprisingly cool scene. Kind of very reminiscent to Batman Begins, but I don't know, not as good. So the entire budget, you can tell, actually went to the Batcave set. So this will probably be used when Kevin Conroy has his thing in Infinite Crisis. And I'm totally cool with that. It could also be tweaked for like a future Batman Beyond thing. It's a cool set. So originally, Kate hated Batman and blamed him for literally everything bad happening in her life. But because Bruce Wayne, again, was a super cool dad for her, she's not really angry to learn that Bruce Wayne and Batman are one and the same. Well, that got resolved quickly, I guess. The Batsuit is just horrible, though. But moving on. This scene is actually a very Batman moment with Luke Fox explaining to Kate that Bruce has a diagram of everything that went wrong with Kate's mom dying. He calculated everything flawlessly while stopping the Joker and saving the 34 kids on the school bus that rammed into their car and made, Beth and Mommy go bye-bye. But due to, of course, the crappy car that Kate's mom was driving, so a little slight on minivans, the Batline tore off the car's bumper, and, well, that was it, apparently. Still, my problem with this scene is Kate's forgiveness of Batman is just really rushed. It should have been explored over the course of the season, because that's what good writing is. But nope, it's just that fast to resolve. Okay, Bruce Wayne and Batman are one and the same. Bruce was cool, Batman was a jerk, but he's family. Okay. And yes, the cringy suit line is still in the pilot, but I guess it's less cringy, or maybe I'm desensitized to it. I don't know. It was just kind of an eye-rolling moment for me. It was like, okay, there's the line from the trailers. Elsewhere in Gotham City, the rich citizens are hosting a movie night in the park. Why? Because they're idiots. Guess what happens? No, really, guess. Jeez, I bet most of the folks lived in Metropolis before they moved here because, they're just not very bright. That or Batman was really good at his job up until 3 years ago, and Gotham was a utopia, free of crime, because people are out both at night and during the day without any repercussions. And this is supposed to be a crime-ridden, war zone? Yeah, I'm not seeing that. So a member of Crow is actually working with Alice and sends a bomb to the commander. And of course, things go sour from there. Luckily, Batman shows up to save the day. Kind of. Yeah, no, Kate is an expert with all things Bat Tech and basically does the whole Batman Begins fight scene, except worse. Although it was more like the BVS thing with Batman using the Bat Grapple to pull people away. So it was kind of cool for low budget. I don't know. She saves the day, more or less, and Sophie, and then goes after Alice. Alice then kicks her butt and gets away. A little kid then sees Kate glide away and says, "Look, Mommy, Batman's back." This triggers Kate more than getting her butt kicked by Alice, because how dare a man take credit for her work? Anyway, Gotham is pretty happy that Batman has returned, but Kate isn't happy. Cue constipated face. Apparently, others have tried and failed to take Batman's place, according to the commander, and they either died or left the city altogether. So it's possible Robin or Nightwing exist in the Arrowverse too, or maybe it was Alfred. Who knows? Kate and Sophie meet in a twist. We learn that she is actually married to a dude. How progressive! I honestly see this guy becoming a bad guy too, because, well, you know, it already happened once in this episode. I'm really no stranger to the, quote, police force in Gotham being corrupt and becoming villains. So a private security force becoming villains doesn't seem like a stretch. It really doesn't. She and her dad then make up, kind of, but back at the Batcave, Kate apologizes to Bruce in a journal for using all his stuff and borrowing it without permission, and instead of believing that Batman abandoned the city, she honestly thinks that someday Bruce will be back. That's right, honey. It's called Crisis on Infinite Earths. Also, it depends on your ratings, which aren't the best. Luke Fox then tells Kate that Bruce tried hard to find Beth's body, but couldn't find it. Oh, here we go. Then Kate examines the dagger that she took from Alice during their fight and sees a jewel inside, which then matches her jeweled necklace. Beth is Alice? No one saw this coming. Not. And that's how Kate became Batwoman. Honest thoughts, I had more fun watching the Birds of Prey pilot from 2003, and that show sucked. Batwoman's first episode is really, really boring. The story is half original, half source material, but in the show's defense, Batwoman's comics are bland at best, with little to offer at all. So it's cool that the writers tried to find something different and tweak things here and there, but yeah, it's not really looking good. Beth being a supervillain was more interesting in the comics than the show, as was the tragedy involved with how the family was broken apart due to the death of the mother. Most of the overtly woke stuff was just for the promos to attract SJWs, which really didn't matter since the ratings are the lowest in the CW's history. So it didn't attract anybody. Nobody wants to watch this. Forget about Batman showing up until the second season. If he doesn't show up within the first 5 episodes, this thing's going to cancel town. It doesn't look good, and I told you so. And that's not me being a hater. That's just facts, and facts hurt more than hate. Wait. Never mind. But yeah, I didn't like this show. Go figure. It's not that I'm angry per se. I just found more wrong with Batman Bad Blood that triggered me than this pilot. I mean, the biggest issue with the show so far is it's just kind of meh. It's not really special, and it's hard to watch past 10 minutes because, well, I was dozing off. Actually, I had to watch the episode twice in order to get this synopsis for you guys. So be thankful, because my time was wasted. Oh. So yeah, it's really not all that special. The costume in general looks really bad, like the first bat suit that we see. Thankfully, we know that eventually she's going to get her cool Batwoman costume, which that's also where all the budget for the show went. And the suit, I have nothing against it. It looks just like the comics. Hopefully it will happen sooner than later, because if she's running around in this weird Batman suit that looks like it came from Party City, no. All in all, I think it's a better show than Gotham, but that's not saying much, considering I hated Gotham. I give Batwoman 2 bats. Oh, I threw up in my mouth a little. I give Batwoman 2 bats out of 5. It's not horrible, but it's not good either. Anyway, thanks so much for listening to this audio podcast. I promise you Titans Season 2 is much better than this show, and I can't wait to talk about it as soon as I catch up on the episodes. Unsure if I'll watch more Batwoman in the future or not. Maybe if I'm bored, drunk, or both. Too bad I don't drink, because it probably would help this show be more fun. And that's it, that's all. What did you guys think of Batwoman? Let me know in the comments below. Also, like and share this video because it helps a lot, because YouTube is dumb these days. And if you want me to watch more of this show and talk about it, well, you can always ask me here or at Kane Reviews on my Twitter. But you guys are my friends, right? You don't want to put me through pain and anguish and torture. I mean, you want me to look at good things, right? Right? All right. Later, Gothamites. Thanks for listening.